This full moon is happening Saturday, October 28th, 2023 at 4:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 degrees of the constellation Taurus. This means the moon is passing or traveling through 5 degrees of the constellation Taurus, while the sun is directly opposite in the sky, since we're in the midst of Scorpio season, traveling through 5 degrees Scorpio. This is why full moons always involve an opposition between the sun and the moon. This is what allows the moon to reflect the light of the sun. Under full moons, we're challenged to integrate two seemingly opposite and opposing or conflicting energies. We need to watch for swings of energy in either direction as we collectively try to attain balance. Additionally, oppositions tend to bring up issues interpersonally. And since the oppositions are happening in the fixed signs of Scorpio and Taurus along the financial axis, and with Scorpio and Pluto ruling over our deep unconscious selves, watch for unconscious repressed emotions projecting outward. Lean into the energy of Taurus and embody stability. Stay in your own lane and do not alter your energy for anybody. More on that later when we dive into the aspects. This is all happening during the United States' Pluto return, with Pluto in a tight square to, and therefore forming an intense pressure point with the nodes of fate and destiny. The North Node now in the late degrees of Aries, and the South Node directly opposite in the late degrees of Libra. Unlike oppositions, which are experienced interpersonally, squares are typically experienced on a deeper, more internal level. A lunar eclipse occurs during the full moon when the sun and moon are transiting opposite signs. Earth is suspended directly between them. While the unconscious is eclipsed, the future and our personal soul's core mission and expression, symbolized by the sun, become far too obvious to ignore, often triggered by some sort of crisis or sudden change or intensity of emotion. Lunar eclipses are like supercharged full moons, and they always occur in conjunction with a solar eclipse. We had a solar eclipse 2 weeks prior under the new moon solar eclipse 21 degrees Libra on October 14th, 2023. The period between eclipses and lunar eclipses are a wonderful time to do shadow work and to deal with feelings that we otherwise ignore or repress. In your life that you are used to or have become comfortable with or possibly overly attached to may be suddenly eclipsed away. Anything that is chased runs. So stop chasing and falling for hustle culture's lie that you have to burn candles at both ends to be successful. Give it some space while you focus on rest, staying grounded, and staying hydrated. When all the dust settles, you'll either manifest a far better option or you'll have an opportunity to circle back and return to this one for closure. You'll return as a more evolved you after you've processed the lesson and reemerge stronger, more aligned with your soul's highest potential. Lunar eclipses can bring up feelings of nostalgia, longing, and they can bring about final endings and the resurfacing or reminders of deep buried hopes and dreams. So thumb through your old posts, your screenshots in your photo library, your Spotify playlists. For this one, look back to November 2021, April, May 2022, October, November 2022, and May 2023. Go through your old notebooks, journals, to-do lists, agendas, diaries, and reflect on any growth that you've observed during these particular time periods, especially along that axis of my money versus shared or inherited money. Eclipses signify periods of gradual change and transformation. It doesn't happen suddenly or all at once. It may start or pick back up under the energies of an eclipse, but the work continues gradually behind the scenes. Eclipses are portals to other dimensions and opportunities to jump timelines within this matrix of reality. While a solar eclipse opens the portal for new beginnings and change, a lunar eclipse reveals the energies that help us complete or close out a journey or shift our course and direction in some way. Lunar eclipses are often much more emotionally charged compared to a solar eclipse because of the involvement of the moon. The moon rules our feminine, more emotional and private nature, nature and therefore affects the emotional body to a much larger degree than a solar eclipse would. Unconscious, repressed emotions bubble to the surface, or in the case of a Sun, Mercury, and Mars all in Scorpio, may explode to the surface. You can think of Pluto as a volcano teeming with energy that can either trickle out through a slow flow or suddenly and violently erupt. Energy can be understood and best illustrated by the Tower card in Tarot. Scorpios, ruled by Pluto, or in Greek mythology, Hades, god of the underworld and death, symbolic of cycles of ego death and rebirth. When we let the parts of self that are no longer useful die off so that we can emerge stronger, more empowered, and more aligned with our soul's authentic true purpose. Eclipses bring intensity, sudden change, and surprise, and with Uranus also in Taurus, while the moon approaches conjunction with Uranus just a few hours after this eclipse, this will bring curveballs that bring fated and permanent change. Solstices, equinoxes, and eclipses are peak energy moments that help preview upcoming themes for the collective to focus on. A lunar eclipse is an opportunity to create significant change in your life. This change may come abruptly and out of the blue, as lunar eclipses tend to bring in hidden information to the surface. You may be surprised or caught off guard at something that you learn about yourself or others, and it may not necessarily be negative. Experience is positive or negative, there is always positive in the lesson the experience brings. Lunar eclipses, like full moons, are always revealing. They reveal the truth in an often dramatic way, and they help clear things from our path that weren't meant for us. It's important to accept what is revealed under a lunar eclipse. Knowledge is power. If you're brought unexpected, unwanted news, this is the universe's way of giving your life a detour that ends up being an opportunity to redirect your life on the best path toward your personal evolution. It's that everything is unfolding exactly as it should be. Eclipses ultimately occur to help propel us forward. This is an energetic push, a shove from the cosmos to break us free of stagnant energies, especially when it's in the fixed signs of fixed earth, Taurus, and fixed water, Scorpio. We are releasing old patterns connected to themes along the Scorpio-Taurus financial axis. The way to know that you're on the right path is that if you attempt to cling to energies that are no longer serving you, you'll face repeating cycles and patterns, and you'll be met with frustrations, misalignments, and increased obstacles. If this lunar eclipse is calling for something to be released from your life, the best course of action is to find the least dramatic way possible to allow that to happen. The month that follows are opportunities to detach from energies, emotions, and people who do not ultimately serve your highest evolution. These changes may feel uncomfortable or even scary, but once you cross that bridge of discomfort into a different way of being, you'll feel as though you've walked through a barrier and you won't want to return to that lower vibrational self. These eclipses are the perfect opportunity to break through these barriers that have been keeping you from reaching your full potential. Rewind a little bit to recap our recent astrological history. So on Friday, October 20th, we had Mercury Cazimi, where the Sun and Mercury aligned 26 degrees Libra, both of which answering to Venus. This formed an immediate square to Pluto, 27 degrees Capricorn, just one day prior to the first quarter moon, where the moon and Pluto formed a square to Mercury Cazimi, with the south node nearby 24 degrees Libra. Back to that square with Pluto 27 degrees Capricorn. Pluto in Capricorn is all about power in the hands of big business. Mercury Cazimi square Pluto in Capricorn is about exposing abuses of powers, corruption at the hands of big business, and creates a breakdown in contractual relationships and partnerships. South node in Libra. Mercury 29 degrees Libra, and Mercury Cazimi is the host of Venus, the host of the upcoming lunar eclipse. This focus of today's video. Mercury in Libra has its head in the clouds, while Venus in Virgo is grounded and practical. Venus and Mercury are working together in cahoots in what's called mutual reception. They've traded rulers. The 29th degree carries all that energy of Pluto and a volcano, that destructive and eruptive energy. This Cazimi is all about finding balance between the head and the heart. Mercury, when it's imbalanced, for example, Mercury in Libra, Mercury in Pisces, any Mercury placement that might have its head in the clouds, when gone too far, can be totally lost in La La Land. Although it's highly spiritual and can manifest whatever it wants in its dreams, it may struggle to manifest that in its 3D reality. Imbalance in the other direction, as you might find with a Mercury in Virgo or Mercury in Gemini, can be overly logical or analytical at the expense of their creative and spiritual side. They may do everything by the book or be incredibly literal. Mercury Cazimi is bringing something back into our awareness, represented by the sun, the flashlight. Mercury is Hermes, the messenger, and Mercury Cazimi happens once every Mercury retrograde. Cazimi, which translates to traveling through the heart of the sun, is the rebirth of the mind and communication. It's on a short leash when it travels near the sun, a short distance, so we'll feel it more. Something comes back around. We may understand something in a brand new light or perspective. We may see things in a different way. We may be reprioritizing, renegotiating, reworking, or revisiting something in some way. It may bring the revival of communication with a past connection. We truly kicked off Scorpio season with 2 back-to-back ingresses on October 22nd and October 23rd, with Mercury in Scorpio, the pursuit of truth, and the Sun in Scorpio, aligning with passion, intensity, truth, and soul purpose. The Sun's transit into 0 degrees Scorpio on October 23rd officially ushers us into Scorpio, aka spooky season. The Sun and Mercury continue to travel together, meaning we still have a combust Mercury. So be mindful of your thoughts and what you say, because words are spells that carry tremendous power and have consequences. The Sun and Mercury are closing in on Mars. This adds assertive, direct, blunt, possibly even aggressive or violent, fiery Aries undertones of energy to the power clashes and ego battles that we're seeing under Sun, Mercury, South Node, Mars, square Pluto in the late degrees of Capricorn. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars all in Scorpio, with Mars as the traditional ruler of Scorpio prior to Pluto's discovery, is strong Scorpio energy. This is why I mentioned that Scorpio season started a little early. I mentioned this in my new Moon Solar Eclipse video. This is because on October 12th, Mars, after passing through that 29th Plutonic critical anaretic degree of Libra, after having traveled through that sign of weakness or debilitation, the sign of its fall, where it was incredibly frustrated and unable to fully express itself, allowing for things like pent-up resentment to leak out through passive-aggressive patterns of behavior and patterns of conflict avoidance. Mars in Libra may use its natural charm, wit, and/or beauty, and acute social intuition to get what it wants, and can therefore be highly manipulative. It may tell you what it thinks you want to hear out of fear of upsetting or hurting you. So now that Mars is in Scorpio, one of its signs of rulership, it has burst through into Scorpio with great passion and intensity, digging up what's hidden beneath the surface and revealing secrets. Scorpio energy incarnated to overcome adversity so that they could transmute the experience and channel it into self-empowerment. This involves an ability to dig beneath the surface toward what's unseen and to transform. Scorpio also incarnated to merge souls on a deep level with at least one other soulmate. So I wouldn't be surprised if you experience run-ins with karmic soulmates, especially considering we recently had the new Moon Solar Eclipse involving the South Node, 24 degrees Libra. This new Moon Solar Eclipse was 21 degrees Libra, just a few degrees away, on October 14th, 2023. This type of a transit can bring in past connections, past life soulmates, twin flames, karmic connections, etc. When these people and experiences and patterns arise, remember that they are tests, opportunities to prove self-mastery. This is the final eclipse along the Taurus-Scorpio axis. It'll be the last eclipse we have on this financial axis for 8 to 9 years. The financial axis because Taurus rules over my money, things I do for work to earn money, to my investments, my property, my resourcefulness, my values, while Scorpio represents the shared money, the inheritances, the family money, particularly shared through contracts, where Libra would be the marriage or the relationship, the 8th house would be the long-term contract. Also rules shared assets and resources like debt, taxes, inherited wealth, inherited property, values, etc. The name for the full moon occurring in October is the hunter's moon, which coincides with the final hunt. In ancient Paleolithic times, while the hunters hunted, those who did not hunt gathered. They gathered whatever nuts, seeds, harvest, etc. that was left from the previous month harvest full moon for storage for the upcoming winter. This is symbolic of Moon and Taurus energy. Moon placements represent who we already are on a private, personal, and emotional level, related to how we were nurtured by our primary nurturer, who's often our mothers, how we like to be nurtured by others, and how we tend to also nurture others and ourselves. Moon and Taurus embodies Taurus energy and themes: resourcefulness, hardworking, grounded, practical, pragmatic, humble, patient, consistent, conservative, slow-moving, patient, steady, grounded, present. And they may like to indulge in good and or luxury, food, drink, and clothing, being ruled by Venus. Moon is exalted in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed earth energy that embodies patience, steadiness, practicality, and presence. Eclipses along the Taurus-Scorpio axis could involve great losses and gains that involve the economy, stock market, mortgages, and or partnerships. Since Taurus energy is slow-moving and fixed energies are long-lasting, we may see a crash in the real estate market within 6 months of this lunar eclipse, and a crash in the stock market that may have lingering effects. There may be something related to the home insurance market bubble that is already starting to pop, particularly where insurance carriers are rapidly leaving states like California, Florida, Texas, due to extreme weather events. I don't foresee these extreme weather events going away anytime soon, as we have Uranus remaining in Taurus, traveling through the last degrees of Taurus until April 2026, and Jupiter and Uranus aligning, traveling through that third decan of Taurus, which may actually amplify extreme weather events for 2024 going into 2025. Whatever crisis we experience under this lunar eclipse in Taurus, it will be related to our overall sense of security, stability, self-worth, value, self-confidence, and overall sense of resourcefulness in our ability to provide for not only ourselves but our loved ones. Let's dive into the aspects. As we previously mentioned, this is the final Taurus eclipse for 8 to 9 years. It's the second consecutive eclipse ruled by Venus this month, preceded by the new Moon Solar Eclipse 21 degrees Libra, Saturday, October 14th, 2023. This is also, both of which occurring during a Venus year, 2023, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 adds to 7, 7 associated with Venus and Libra, during a year that has a Venus retrograde. Those occur every 18 months, FYI. Bringing divine feminine revolution and healing how we approach and or attract and or receive abundance. Moon and Jupiter in conjunction. We may also see success, abundance, recognition, and reward coming in through money or some sort of bonus or reward. There are built-in oppositions with the Moon opposite Sun and Jupiter opposite Mercury and Mars. Oppositions, like we mentioned previously, always involve interpersonal connections and a need to balance two seemingly opposite or conflicting energies. So watch for swings between fixed Earth Taurus, which is can be overly attached to its material possessions and way of seeing things. It can be very stubborn. And fixed water Scorpio, which can be equally obstinate and obsessive, set in its own ways with a different level of intensity. As we collectively attempt to attain balance, I recommend putting a foot in each, Scorpio and Taurus. If you're feeling too much of that intensity, lean more into Taurus. Especially that Moon in Taurus, it's one of the most stable, mentally, emotionally stable and abundant placements, as is Jupiter in Taurus. With the energies in Scorpio, the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, watch where we're overly attached, invested, or even enmeshed. This can include being overly attached to outcome. Remember the famous Shakespeare quote, "Expectation is the root of all heartache. Remain open to the universe surprising you." So not too long ago, I put myself back on the job market. I had my heart and eyes set on one particular outcome, but echoes of my mother's advice and other wise adults' advice of not putting too many eggs in one basket kept ringing in my ears. So I started to look look at other opportunities. And I saw one that sounded too good to be true. It was with a company that had values aligned with my own, decent pay, decent benefits for something that sounded like a ton of fun. And I applied to it, and I thought each round of the interview process, I thought that I did horribly and that I wouldn't hear from them again. And then this was happening all during that Venus retrograde and those squares to Jupiter and Uranus, by the way. So as my values were shifting, I too started to realize that the first opportunity wasn't as good as it seems. And now this opportunity, which every step of the way they were liking me back and I was getting a better and better vibe every time, that ended up being what I ultimately chose in the end. And I've been very grateful for it ever since. So I share this because we can limit ourselves by getting too fixated on any one opportunity or any one idea by not remaining open to surprise and letting the universe throw us a curveball that might be even better than something that we came up with on our own. Mercury conjunct Mars in Scorpio with the Sun. This energy doesn't let go. It's passionate, obsessive, and obstinate, especially opposite the Moon and Jupiter in Taurus, both of which can be incredibly stubborn and slow-moving, unlikely to change their perspective. Mercury and Mars in Scorpio in close alignment can be impulsive, mean words that can sting. It may experience intense mental energy that needs grounding. Remember to slow down to speed up. Stay grounded, focus on your breath, and meditate. Lean into the stability and grounded steadiness, the patience and persistence, the presence of Taurus. When Mercury and Mars align, this brings an Aries undertone or flavor to the mix, where our communication may be more direct, assertive, possibly even aggressive or violent, especially now that Mars is fully free to express itself in rulership in Scorpio. So look out for heated, fiery, passionate, intense communication. Mars brings karma through impulse, accident, and separation. So watch what you say, because words have tremendous power that can burn bridges. Mars and Mercury in conjunction can bring sharp, cutting, or heated words. Our minds may be on fire. We may be working on overdrive, so look out for fears and angry words, insecurities leaking out. Something is being uncovered that puts us in a position where we're fighting against formerly fixed beliefs. We may also experience a deep urge for stillness, peace, and stability. We also have Venus in Virgo, which means we're receiving daggers of criticism. This is a very nitpicky, micromanaging, and somewhat, forgive my French, I don't curse often, bitchy energy, especially affecting Venus, which rules our divine feminine collective. So if you're not experiencing this yourself, it may be impacting your daughters, mothers, sisters, girlfriends, fiancés, wives, girlfriends, female friends, etc. Don't take it personally. In Virgo, approaching opposition to Neptune in Pisces. Watch for only acknowledging the bright side of things and a tendency to wear rose-colored glasses. This can be delusional and harmful. If taken to an extreme, lean into Taurus energy for grounding and stability. Stay in your own lane. Don't alter your energy for anyone else. Be steady as a rock. Journey is all about learning to trust the process. Life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. As soon as Scorpio learns to, like the scorpion it represents, sidestep obstacles to channel adversity and transmute it into personal power, that Scorpio has evolved from the reactive, stinging, fatal, vengeance-seeking, and destructive scorpion into the phoenix rising from the ashes, inspired and renewed. Scorpio energy always brings power dynamics to the forefront of our focus and brings in reminders of our inherent power and worth. Eclipse might bring up something that makes us feel powerless or unstable, but don't fall into that trap. It's merely your mind, limited and limiting perception, or mindset. Remember that this too shall pass and that everything is temporary. The focus now is on healing any lingering lack mentality so that you can attract a more abundant future. Energy also always tends to have something hidden up its sleeve, a hidden agenda. The unevolved Scorpio may use its gifts of heightened intuition to manipulate and control others. It attempts to manipulate people for its own selfish gain, for power, control, or greed. Scorpio energy can therefore evoke anger in others through their secretive and obstinate personalities. Scorpio is the sign of legacy, inheritance, and destined soul purpose. It's ruled by Mars, and more modernly, Pluto, who is Hades, the ancient god of the underworld, symbolic of death, rebirth, and personal transformation. Specifically, 5 degrees Scorpio is 5 of Cups energy in the tarot deck. This is known in tarot as the Lord of Disappointment. It involves the energy of getting what you thought you wanted or desired, later realizing that you're feeling lonely at the top because it's not truly aligned with what your soul wants. So you feel unfulfilled. This is where we will insert where to find Scorpio in a chart. Keep in mind under these eclipses that people are collectively working through repressed fears and insecurities, shedding lack mentality. So watch for energy being projected, especially with Mercury and Mars at this time. Taurus energy stays in its lane and does not allow anyone to alter its core energy frequency. You should do the same. The Moon and Jupiter in Taurus want you to stay calm, grounded, and patient. You'll receive downloads around your self-worth and worthiness at this time. Hold your own and stay in your lane, focused on what you truly value. Remain emotionally detached from other people's stuff and baggage. Observe it and extend empathy as needed, but do not absorb it or take it on as your own. Fortunately, a lunar eclipse in Taurus feels far more peaceful to our overly stressed nervous systems than many other energies, especially the reverse. This is a nice respite or retreat from what Scorpio season typically unearths, especially with Jupiter's presence nearby in Taurus, bringing expansion, wisdom, long-term commitment, and abundance into the mix, and rewards for dedication to Taurus energy. Hard work paying off. The Moon and Jupiter expands on a resource and security focus and brings in big emotions. Jupiter is also quite happy in Taurus. It expands, and Taurus, affecting our money and resources, makes Jupiter in Taurus incredibly abundant. You can expect to see rewards, especially for investments that require time, patience, and consistent effort, hard work over time. This may be revealing good news that could be aggravating or inadvertently pissing off somebody perhaps close to you. Maybe you're receiving a promotion or a bonus or some sort of recognition for hard work, and that's causing a more insecure energy to feel jealous. With the Moon and Jupiter opposite the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in Scorpio, watch for unconscious projections, especially those that stem from fear, suspicion, lack mentality, and insecurity projecting onto others. Full moons are about completion, closure, release, and illumination. So every full moon affords an opportunity to release the parts of self that no longer serve. This allows us to make room and align with our highest potential. 5 degrees Taurus has been specifically a focal point for us previously. During the Mercury retrograde through Taurus, from April 21st to May 14th, 2023, from 15 to 5 degrees Taurus, we also had a Mercury Cazimi in early May at 11 degrees of Taurus, where Mars is under this October 28th, 2023 full moon lunar eclipse. Jupiter retrograde 2023 from September 3rd to December 30th, 2023 is also from 15 to 5 degrees Taurus. We had several previous eclipses at these key degree points. We had the full moon total lunar eclipse on November 8th, 2022 at 15 degrees Taurus. The full moon lunar eclipse, 14 degrees Scorpio, so almost directly opposite 15 degrees Taurus 6 months later at 14 degrees Scorpio. And this full moon lunar eclipse, 5 degrees Taurus. All key for unveiling Jupiter's themes for 2023 and 2024 as it travels through Taurus. This eclipse carries great power, but will feel less shocking than the lunar eclipse that we saw on May 5th, 2023. Back and rewind to what was going on in the cosmos. So we had Mercury in Taurus, and we had several planets in Taurus. Taurus energy is abundance embodied. It incarnated to be self-sufficient and resourceful, to provide for itself and its legacy in the tangible 3D reality. Taurus is related to our values and what we value. It's yin or receptive energy. It naturally attracts and receives abundance. We had Jupiter Cazimi, or rebirth, traveling through the heart of the sun as it transitioned from Aries to Taurus, occurring during this Mercury retrograde and under the coinciding Taurus new moon. This is symbolic of our collective shift out of the pitfalls of rush to get it done, Aries-infused hustle culture, and into a work smarter, not harder mentality that abundant, patient, grounded, present, grateful Taurus energy embodies. As the sign that immediately follows Aries, well, Taurus is practical. It's a patient builder focused on laying foundations. It's focused on what holds the most value and seeing projects through to completion. With its influence being ruled by Venus, this involves themes of self-worth, value, confidence, stability, peace, and personal resourcefulness. Where we have Taurus shows us where we need stability for a more simple, peaceful, and beautiful existence. Taurus helps ground this immense energy and provides the perfect foundation to integrate and process revelations that will occur under this full moon lunar eclipse. Taurus is the sign of stillness. This reminds us to reconnect with Mother Earth, to feel stable, secure, and supported, and most importantly, abundant with a grateful heart. And often sheds a light on how we may be repeating and re-traumatizing ourselves with similar situations and patterns. This may also illuminate the underbelly of society, bringing to light things that we would rather not know or leave in the dark. There is no keeping things hidden. All of it will come to the light for the collective to heal. How to work with the energy. Like all eclipses, it will bring some intense energy and emotions to the surface. So seek to find a place of solitude and stillness. Challenge yourself to find calm. Ground down through your body and avoid any drama or toxic or negative energies. Let people project, but don't absorb it. To summarize, this lunar eclipse happens at 5 degrees Taurus, which is the exact degree point where Jupiter stations retrograde in December, or ends its station retrograde in December, begins to move direct again from December 15th to January 15th. It'll be at 5 degrees Taurus. A little extended stay. This indicates that something bigger is awaiting us on the horizon. We're not able to see it quite clearly yet, but it'll start to come into the focus this winter. This energy is amplifying what we're meant to stabilize. Something manifesting relating to healing, shedding an opportunity, or breaking karmic cycles. This karmic cycle is wherever 5 degrees Taurus falls in your chart. When it comes to natal charts and astrological predictions, follow your ascendant or rising sign. From your chart overlay, find 5 degrees Taurus. Anything conjunct or an opposition or forming a 90-degree angle, a square will come under a challenging or high pressure point. And also look at the depositor of that eclipse. In this case, we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, which ruling planet is Venus, so we want to look at Venus. Any aspects too, particularly the challenging ones, the conjunctions, the oppositions, the squares, depending on what planets are involved. Mentioned that this was the final eclipse along the Taurus Scorpio axis after a series of 7 eclipses. I'll list them out for you in the order of occurrence. November 19th, 2021, partial lunar eclipse, 27 degrees Taurus. April 30th, 2022, partial solar eclipse, 10 degrees Taurus. May 16th, total lunar eclipse, 25 degrees Scorpio. October 25th, 2022, partial solar eclipse, 2 degrees Scorpio. November 8th, 2022, total lunar eclipse, 16 degrees Taurus. That was actually 15 degrees Taurus. May 5th, 2023, lunar eclipse, 14 degrees Scorpio. October 28th, 2023, lunar eclipse, 5 degrees Taurus. I have a chart here as well for you to enjoy and try to make sense of the solar eclipses, the equinoxes, the solstices, which mark the change of the seasons, and their corresponding new and full moons. Those patterns as well, because every new moon and full moon is a 6-month cycle woven into a larger solar eclipse cycle, which is part of yet another larger cycle.